The Naval Armaments Program, 1911 to 1912, from The Raven of Zürich, the Memoirs of Felix Somary, by Felix Somary. In the summer of 1911, I again visited Kassel. I found him very grave. "The situation is beginning to be critical," he said to me. "We are no longer seeing just a conflict of governments. A sort of national hatred is now growing. There was nothing like that when I first came to England. The English opened their doors to everybody, and all sorts of people made full use of the privilege. But what came out of all that? The English executive is already putting on his hat by midday on Friday, impatient in case he should miss his game of golf, and returns to the office only on Monday afternoon. The German clerk works all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and after a few years he's the boss, and the Englishman is out of the door. And in addition, there's that constant dispute about the fleet, and it's getting worse every day. Berlin told me you have a good idea about that. Tell me." I explained my program. Not too many people know how to listen, and even fewer manage to do it in such a way that they silently influence the one who is talking. My sister Paula, acting in that unique play by Strindberg, presented the role of the silent person with such consummate artistry that the audience failed to pay attention to the actors with speaking parts. When Kassel really listened, he did so with such power that I never felt its like again. He drew everything out of me, strengthened my confidence, and brought complete clarity to my thinking. For the first time since I knew him, that old skepticism was gone from his eyes. "Who is to carry out the program? We are leaders here." "You and yourself," I answered. "I've never been involved with politics, and I have little influence now with King Edward gone." "You must do it. Nobody else is trusted by both sides as you are." "I shall have to think it over. Can you come back in the autumn?" "Certainly." "Then you must bring me the absolute certainty that the Kaiser agrees to British naval supremacy." I returned to Berlin, clarified the situation, and in the late autumn came back to London. Kassel discussed the plan with Sir Edward Grey and Lord Haldane, respectively the Foreign Secretary and the Secretary for War. These two were linked by a close friendship that also represented political unity. Afterwards, Kassel also discussed it with Lloyd George and Churchill. Grey expressed willingness to come to Germany himself if Kassel's negotiations should go well. Kassel went to Berlin in early 1912. He was very cordially received by the Kaiser and the government, except for one point. The most important item in the plan, which the skeptics in England had considered unacceptable, namely the permanent recognition by Germany of English naval superiority, with a limitation on new naval construction and the establishment of a quota for respective fleet strengths. All that was accepted with surprising alacrity, and Castle put that down to my preparatory work. The entire plan would have gone through without a hitch had the Germans not suddenly added a demand that England should commit itself to remain neutral in the event of a war between the Franco-Russian coalition and Germany. The Kaiser had not so much as hinted at the subject in his first talk with Castle. To this day, I do not know who the source was of this ill-fated demand. It is precisely in these cases that official papers tell us nothing about the true author of an idea. The best that could now be expected was a period of rapprochement through practical cooperation. To demand more in the present circumstances would have been clumsy and foredoomed to failure. If at that time Germany had had an intelligent head of government, the entire difficulty could have been quickly overcome. But the German Chancellor, Bethmann Hollweg, was a bureaucratic type of astonishing maladroitness and quite bereft of any subtlety. He did not understand that this demand was unacceptable to England at that moment, but that through practical cooperation over a period of years, sufficient trust could be created to make a neutrality treaty superfluous. I myself was prevented from taking any steps, since I was forbidden to reveal my authorship of the naval plan. Thus it was that my conception appeared to the Germans an English notion, whereas in reality it was a compromise between two positions. In the circumstances, Castle decided to retrieve what had mutually been agreed, that is, to save the naval plan without adding the neutrality clause. Because that clause was omitted, Grey gave up his intention of going to Germany and sent his close friend Lord Haldane in his place. The result of the Haldane mission is well known. The naval treaty between Germany and England led to more than 2 years of close cooperation, securing the preservation of peace even in the critical period of the Balkan Wars. With hindsight, that may seem of secondary importance, but if it was possible for the Anglo-German Entente to keep the rest of the world at peace during 2 successive Balkan conflicts, it did not seem unreasonable to regard the understanding as a lasting guarantee for peace.